Good morning, everybody. Hi, welcome to our morning meeting with ambassadors. Today we're here with Perry, our peregrine falcon ambassador. He's very sweet. He's going to sit and hang out on our stump here, and we're going to chat a little bit about peregrines. So come on in, let us know that you're here. Leave your name in the comments and where you're from. We'd love to say hello. Perry came to us after he was injured, so he can no longer be released back out into the wild. He is one of our non-releasable animal ambassadors that we have here at the Center for Wildlife. Good boy, Perry. Good morning, Kristen. Hello. So we will be taking care of Perry for the rest of his life here at the center. He's a really sweet boy. Good morning, Robin. Good morning, Charlie. Definitely let us know if you have any questions about Perry or about the center, anything that we do here. We'll introduce his story more in a couple of minutes, but we'll let you guys come on in and get settled. Let us know your name, where you're from, if you have any questions. And of course, as always, there's that donate button. Thank you so much for everyone for donating. We really appreciate it. It helps to support the care of Perry here. So Perry is our peregrine falcon ambassador. He came to us in 2013. He was brought to us from Vermont. So he is actually originally from Vermont. Peregrines really like to live in mountain ranges or on cliffs, so these guys like to be at pretty high elevations. Good morning, Carrie in Rochester. Hello. And Perry was brought to us after he was injured when he flew into a power transformer. So the big boxes on electrical poles with lots and lots of electricity running through them. Perry flew into one and was very badly electrocuted. So this whole side of his body closest to me, that is actually not really capable of moving the way that it needs to in order to go back out into the wild. His muscles don't really respond to his body very well. He has some foot issues. I don't know if you can see his little funky toe, but that is something that he deals with. That eye sometimes can be a little difficult for him to open and close. So he has some pretty significant neurological damage on that whole left side of his body, and therefore he cannot go back out into the wild. He will be with us for the rest of his life, and peregrines can live somewhere up to 20-25 years in captivity. So he's about 7 now, and when he first came to us he was pretty young, and he's definitely matured since he's been with us. But we'll have him for a long time. He's very, very sweet. He loves to observe everything going on at the center from his enclosure. He has a little perch that sits right out on the windowsill, and he can see everyone going by. He can watch the front door of our building, so he knows exactly when food is coming, and he gets really excited and, you know, flaps his wings a lot. So he is very, very sweet. Peregrine falcons are amazing, amazing birds. I'm gonna actually flip the camera around so you can see him more directly. It's okay, baby. Good job. I know. There we go. Step up. Perry does sometimes bait, which is when they just bounce off the glove. They fly off the glove if they get spooked. So when I moved, he said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, where are we going?" But we'll say hello to Perry. Good morning, Perry. You're so sweet. Hi. Perry is a little perturbed. He did not get his breakfast yet, and he keeps looking at my glove saying, where's my breakfast? Where's my breakfast? I know you want food. Peregrine falcons are in the raptor family, so they are a very, very good hunter. Raptors are all known to have these talons, so these long, no, you can't eat my camera, buddy. These long, spindly toes. Peregrines are famous for those. They'll actually ball those up and their prey, which is unique to them. They also have a sharp curved beak, and peregrines and falcons in general are known to have this little notch on the side of their beak, which you may be able to see. But that little notch is really good for snapping the necks of prey. So they're really they're a predator, and it's written all over their bodies. So they have all sorts of amazing, amazing tools to catch their food. Hi, Kristen from Old Orchard Beach. Hello, good morning. So Perry here, as a raptor, is very, very good at hunting. or at least peregrines in the wild would be, and Perry here does pretend sometimes. But in the wild, these guys are fantastic predators. They are actually one of our, thank you so much, Kate, for the donation, that's so sweet. They are actually the fastest birds on the planet. These guys hunt by diving off of a tall mountain or cliff down towards the ground in a nosedive, and we call that nosedive a stoop. So they tuck their wings really close to their bodies, and they go head first down towards the ground, and they are usually chasing after a bird when they're doing that. And then when they come up close to that bird, they'll stop really quickly out of that nosedive. And when they're diving down towards the ground, they're actually the fastest animals on the planet. So these guys can usually pick up speeds up to 300 miles an hour in those nosedives, and that officially makes them the fastest birds on the planet, the fastest animals. So their whole bodies are really sleek and adapted to be very, very fast. So they're very bullet shaped. If you look at, there are some great photos of a falcon next to a B-52 bomber. They're very, very close in shape and design because of their need to be aerodynamic. So they're very, very pointy, sharp. All of their feathers lie very flat next to their body. So Perry doesn't look very fluffy. You'll notice he looks very sleek, and that's to reduce drag. So he is very fast. Hello, Erica from Tennessee. Good morning. Hi, Christy from New Hampshire. Good morning. So Perry here, as the fastest animal in the world, is usually going to be eating other species of birds. They need to be fast so that they can hunt down other species of flying prey. And usually that would be fairly large birds. They really like to eat, you know, ducks and aquatic birds. They'll also eat pigeons, and any sort of bird that would live maybe near the oceans or a cliff or up near the mountains. So they're actually known to hunt fairly large birds like gulls and ducks and things like that too. But because of the speed that they're hunting at, they can usually, you know, knock out their prey, even though they're not nearly as big as them. Good morning, Zoe. Good morning. So they are very, very impressive. They'll actually make a little ball with these talons here. They'll ball them up into a little fist and actually punch their food to knock them out. So it's actually, it's a very good strategy. And these guys have been known, they're pretty famous for being kind of what kicked off the environmentalist movement. If anyone here has ever heard of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, it really outlined the way that our pesticides and our human activities were affecting birds in general, and specifically these guys, as well as our songbirds. So peregrine falcons were being very poorly affected by the use of pesticides like DDT. It would build up in the food chain. It would get all the way up to the peregrine and accumulate in their bodies and make it really hard for them to absorb calcium from their food. Their eggshells would be soft and squishy, and their babies would unfortunately not be able to survive in that squishy egg. So these guys were very endangered for a long, long time. But because of really stalwart efforts and the founding of the EPA, these guys, and the banning of DDT, these guys are doing much better now. They were actually taken off of the endangered species list in 1999, so they're doing much, much better. I just love the little heart-shaped markings on his chest. It's so sweet. So they are no longer considered endangered in across the country, although they are still listed as threatened in Maine, and they are listed. You're okay, buddy. They are listed as endangered in some areas. We're just letting Perry get settled. You're okay. I know. We moved. Oh my goodness. So sometimes when Perry gets a little spooked, he'll jump off the glove. Yeah. So they are no longer endangered, and a lot of that has to do with our work to help them to become more common and protect their environments, but a lot of it actually has come as the result of these guys learning to live amongst people. They're known to live in cities quite frequently, so to them, a tall skyscraper looks a hell of a lot like a cliff or a mountain, and there's usually plenty of food for them to eat in our cities in the form of other birds, like pigeons and things like that. So they are known to live in cities. They live on the Empire State Building. They live in Boston. That is Gracie. She's our broadwing hawk. She's calling to a broadwing hawk that's up above, migrating back to our area. So cool. So they are known to live in our cities. We actually have quite a few living along the coast here in the Seacoast region. We have a pair that nests every year on the 95 bridge as you cross over into New Hampshire, into Portsmouth. So, and then there are plenty that live down on the cliffs in Rye and along the coast here in our area, along the cliffs in Cape Nettic. So we have plenty of peregrines. They're also known to be on the Time and Temperature building in Portland. They're famously numerous in Acadia National Park. So they are actually the Peregrine Cliffs. They have to close down the trails underneath it every summer because these guys will dive bomb people hiking underneath, thinking that they might hurt their babies. So they are doing very well in Maine, and a lot of that is because their habitat is conserved in those areas, and they've adapted so well to live in areas that are developed. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Dana. Good morning, Kathy. They live on the Superman building in Providence. That's awesome. Yes, they are really great at, a roof of a building looks a lot like a cliff face or a mountain to them. They're very sweet. Good morning, Cheryl Ann. Good morning, Kim. So these guys are amazing, amazing hunters, and you can see they are really adapted to blend in well with rocks, not so much, the brown camouflage we see on a lot of the birds that are meant to blend in with trees and things. They have this blue slate gray camouflage on their backs. And what's cool is these colors are actually always kind of growing and changing as they get older. So when Perry was young, he was a little bit more brown. He was a little less dark gray, and these little stripes that you see under his eyes were actually a lot skinnier. And as he gets older, his cheeks, you can see that tan part, those will actually turn completely black by the time he's 10. So they're filling in now, and they'll be completely black by the time he gets to be about 10 years old. And when they're young, they're usually just skinny little lines under their eyes. Those are called malar stripes, and they're used for the same purpose that our football players have those stripes under their eyes too. They have the ability to help the sun from bouncing off their cheeks and getting in their eyes and blinding them when they're hunting. So they have the same cool little tool that they use to help them to keep the sun out of their eyes. And that'll get bigger and bigger as they get older. Good morning, Katie. So they are really good at surviving and living near humans. They don't seem to be too bothered by it. I'm sure the construction that's going on now has affected their nest placement for this year. But in previous years, they'll nest up underneath the bridge, and then you can usually see them perching up on the signs that say like "Welcome to New Hampshire," "Welcome to the manhole access is," so, or the little ladder is. And yeah, they might not have come back this year because of all that construction that's going on at the moment, but it's possible. These guys are very tolerant. If they can live, on the Empire State Building, I think they can, they can handle it. Good morning, Uncle David. Good morning, Janet. Hello, good morning. The amazing thing about peregrines is they're really amazing adaptations to survive just their hunting styles. So these guys are known to fly super, super fast. They'll dive down towards the ground at very high speeds. And if you guys can imagine diving towards the ground at 300 miles per hour, you would have a lot of wind to contend with. You'd have to deal with a lot of moving objects. You'd have to be able to turn very quickly, respond to things very fast. And these guys can do all of those things. So if you look at Perry's nose or his beak, and right above his beak, you'll see this yellow part. That skin there, we call his cere. And his cere has his nostrils on it. Hi, baby. So those little nostrils have, we call them nares on birds. It's okay, baby. He's excited. He really wants his breakfast. You're okay, buddy. You're okay. Okay. There we go. We'll just have you on the glove for a second. Let you calm down. I know. Good morning, Chuck. So if you guys see the little holes, his nares, his nostrils on that skin, those actually have this little tiny dot inside of them. They look a lot like a cone. And what's amazing is that, don't eat the phone, that little cone there helps to cut up the wind that is produced when they're diving down towards the ground. So if Perry is diving and the wind is rushing up at his face, those little cones help to keep the wind from rushing up into his sinuses and causing a lot of issues. That would create quite a bit of damage to his sinuses if it rushed up. And they serve kind of a similar purpose to nose plugs. So when we jump into a pool, these guys are going to, we're going to plug our nose, and these guys are going to use those little, we call them baffles, to help to keep the wind from getting too close to their sinuses. Good morning, Janet. The other really amazing thing is that these guys will be diving, and again, in a complete nosedive, free falling towards the ground. And if they want to change direction while they're doing that, they can. And if they want to stop and pull up short and grab the prey that they're chasing, they're going to have to pull out of that nosedive. And the force of doing that would be enough on most birds to like completely mess up their bodies. So when they bring their wings back out of that stoop to stop, most other birds, when they stretched their wings out going that fast, they would get completely torn off their bodies. But these guys have especially adapted shoulder joints with lots and lots of strong tendons and ligaments that help to keep their wings very, very strong and firmly attached to their bodies. So they're really great at what they do. They're very powerful. Good boy, Perry. I know. Perry is a very sweet boy. He is, I should say, a little bit more high-strung. He is so hungry. We want our breakfast. I know. And when we first got Perry, I know, it's okay. It's okay. We were expecting him to be a good mate for our female peregrine falcon, Freya, that many of you may have known. But that did not work out, mostly because Freya was partially imprinted on people and thought that she was a person. And Perry is pretty sure he's not. So she didn't really recognize him as a mate, an option for a mate. But we did try. And so Perry and Freya lived separately. And Perry was always kind of a little more shy, a little more high-strung, a little bit more energetic, and that is a function of his age. He was a pretty young bird, and because of that, it took a while for us to start really working with him consistently and gaining his trust. So when I started working with Perry, all the way back when I was an intern, we would sit outside and eat his breakfast every single day. And at first we would sit and he wouldn't touch it. He was too nervous to eat. He wouldn't get settled. And then slowly, after about like 6 months, we got more to the point where he could eat. He would come down to a platform for his food, to the glove. And it was really amazing to see the transformation and the trust that came about because we spent so much time together. So now when I